You've probably heard that you are the average of the five people that you spend the most time with. And that is true. Today, we're going to talk about why this is important and how to surround yourself with people who are growth minded, who are in the process of building and growing, and who can help evaluate you. Hey, I'm Dr. Dwain Woode. Welcome to my 100-day walk to consistency. We are in day number 54. That's right. Over the past few days, we've been talking about building a community. We've been talking about building a network of people who are there to support you, cheer you along, people who are going to be part of your accountability group. And as we're moving through, we want to make sure that we're setting ourselves up for the best possibility of success. Hey, each day that you show up, each day that you're consistent, each day you are getting stronger, each day you are becoming more resilient, and each day we're putting another piece to the puzzle to help you become successful. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you on the walk. So today we're talking about surrounding ourselves with like-minded people and why that's important, how to go about doing that. But I want to remind you that consistency is your superpower. It is the thing that gives energy and gives focus to the things that we're doing. If we do something consistently, if we do it over time, then we stand a higher chance of being able to be successful. So the first question is, why does it matter if you have like-minded people in your group, in your network, as you are moving towards success? And a couple of things that come to mind. Number one, people influence each other. They say birds of a feather flock together. That is so important. One of the concepts that I talk about when I'm discussing success and talking about limitless living is that when it comes to our body, when it comes to the diet, every bite counts, right? So everything that we put in our mouths, everything that we eat matters in terms of how our body processes it. Every movement counts, right? So as we are moving through the space of exercising and through the space of being healthy, every movement counts. And likewise, when we talk about our minds, talk about our success, every conversation that we have counts towards what our brain is doing and what our brain is saying and the person our brain is creating. Every interaction that we have has some effect on us. And the things that people say to us, the things that we consistently hear, are the things that become ingrained in us. One of the interesting concepts that I learned that I guess I knew is as I'm raising my son, is more things are caught rather than things that are taught. That means that simply by being around me, my son picks up things. There is something that I do whenever I come home. I walk into the door and I say, "Hello, family." Yeah, I don't know where I came from, but I just do it. And I put my keys down, put my stuff down, and then I go around the house trying to figure out where everybody is to say hello. Well, I'm sitting in the living room or in the family room one day, and my son was out. And so he comes home and he walks in, and guess what he says? Yeah. So it wasn't something that I had told him to do, something I told him to say, but he simply picked up what was going on. And so the people that we are around, as we're talking with them, as we're having discussions, their ideas rub off on us, their worldview can rub off on us, their way of thinking rubs off on us. And so if they are growth-minded, as we've talked about, then we pick up growth-mindedness. If they are fixed-minded, then the tendency is to pick up this concept of fixed-mindedness. So Are they helping to shape you for the better, or are they pulling you off track? Remember, our goal is to align our behavior, align our action with the things that we say we want to do, our principle. All right? So if those people that are around us are helping us in that direction, then they are beneficial in the sense that they are helping to build and help us to grow. If they are not, then that's not the case. If you spend time around negative people, unmotivated people, guess what? Their attitudes will become part of your thinking. Even if you don't sit down and say, okay, I'm adopting this attitude, simply by being around them, you begin picking that up. And so there are times when you may want to do something, you may be thinking of something, but because of the negativity that has been basically ingrained in you or that you've picked up, your brain will say, yeah, no, that's not something we want to do. So what we want to do is we want to be around people who are growth-minded, people who are positive thinkers, people who are moving in the direction that we want to go. When you surround yourself with those people, people who are driven, people who are principled, people who are disciplined, people who are committed to growth, then you naturally start to rise, right? You naturally start to rise in that process. I want you to think about this. Think about an athlete. The best athletes are the ones who train together, the ones who work as a team. In fact, in a lot of cases, you can have someone who is a superstar, someone who is naturally talented, someone who naturally is able to do whatever skill. They play basketball, they play football, they play whatever. But unless they are able to work as a team, then that doesn't work. So together, things are better. Together, the group is better. The best musicians, right? The best football players, the best basketball players, the best baseball players are people who are able to be in a team. So you want to surround yourself with people who are like-minded, people who are in the process of growing and expanding themselves. Because guess what? Sometimes simply by being around them, you were able to pick that up. So there are 3 levels of people that are in your circle. All right, 3 levels of people. So let's go ahead and break those down. So when we talked yesterday, we talked about the different types of people you need in your network, right? So we talked about having the cheerleader. We talked about having the coach, the mentor. We talked about the accountability partner, right? And so we want to talk about the different types of people that are in your circle right now. So number 1 is the uplifter. So this is the person that helps expand you. These are people who push you, right? Kind of like the cheerleader. They push you to be better. They challenge you. They pull the best out of you. These are people who set an example where you are and where you want to go. And you want to ask yourself, as you're thinking about your community, think about the people that are in your group, who is your expander? Who are those people that always are there and they seem to lift you up beyond where you are? Whenever you are feeling like you can't do it, you're feeling like life has thrown you a curveball, you feel like, man, I put my heart into that thing and it didn't quite work. Or I'm not sure if I can make it. Then who are those people that are there and can help to push you forward? These are the people who are your uplifters. And we want to cultivate relationships with uplifters, because these are the folks who, when I'm down, I can turn to, or even sometimes I don't even have to turn to them. They see me for where I am, and they're able to push me in the direction of being successful. So we were talking about the expander. So those people whose who are in your circle, who are those people when you need someone to uplift you, they're there, okay? So these are the expanders. They're the stabilizers. So these are peers. These are like-minded people who are on the same journey as you are, people who you learn from, who learn from you, people who are your, these are the folks that you're in the trenches with, right? So you're heading in a direction, they are heading in that direction, they are working to be successful as well, and you guys kind of play and feed off of each other, right? So you want to ask yourself, who are those people that are in my group who are walking in a similar path? They are having similar experiences. We have similar questions. These are kind of our support groups that we're in, people who are walking the journey. These are the stabilizers. These are folks that I could turn to and I could see someone right there with me, okay? Someone who is in the trenches, if you were, in the foxhole. And so you want to ask yourself, who are those people? We'll come to what we do with those here in a minute, but ask ourselves, who are those people? And then they're the drainers. Yeah, we all have and know who those are. These are the people who tend to hold us back, the people who have that negative talk. These are the folks who, when you have something that you've thought about doing, that you are excited about, some idea, some growth potential, some new project, some new hobby, some new interest, who say, that's not going to work. You know, you remember that last time you tried something like that? That didn't quite go the way you expected. You don't have the skills for that. Why do you want to do that? Why aren't you just being satisfied with where you are? Right? See, these are those folks who limit us, whether through their negative talk or through their discouragement or their lack of motivation. So sometimes it's not that they discourage us or they tell us not to do or they say it's not going to work, but they're not motivated, right? So they're not interested in moving from where they are. They're comfortable, they're satisfied in that space, and they may not mean you any harm, but they are limiting you. Because remember, birds of a feather flock together. Their mindset will rub off on you. The way they think will influence how you think and how you behave. And so you want to ask yourself, who in your circle, who in your group, who in your area is the negative, who brings distraction, who brings the fixed mindset thought, and who is not on the growth mindset, okay? So we've identified why it's important. We've identified the types of people that are in the space that we want to be in. And so you want to make sure that you are doing all that you can, all that you need to do to be successful by looking at those people in your group and saying, okay, where are they? Where do these people fit? Okay? And then how do we go about surrounding ourselves with people that are of the right type? Okay? Now, one of the concepts that I talk about is this idea of limitless living. And limitless living says that there's nothing inside me or nothing outside me that's going to prevent me from doing what I need to do to be successful. Whether it's in my health, my finances, my mindset, my job, my family, my relationships, wherever it is, I'm not allowing anything to stand in my way. I'm breaking free. I'm presenting my best self, my best health, and my best plans for my life, okay? With that in mind, as we're talking about the people that are in your circle, we've got to now begin looking at and evaluating those people in an objective way. But yeah, so we're evaluating our community, we're evaluating our circle to say what are the resources we have. Remember, when we're setting SMART goals, And this is how this all ties together, right? When we're setting SMART goals, we want to know what are the resources that we have available. What do we need to allocate, right? We want to do specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And so as we're talking about the components of our SMART goal, the question that we have to have when evaluating it is, do we have the right resource? Do we have the right circle? Do we have the right group? So evaluating, very, very important. Okay, so how do we surround ourselves with the right people? How do we surround ourselves with the right people? And this plays into this concept of limitless living, right? The first thing is to audit our current circle. Just as we did when we were talking about creating our network, we want to look at the people that are currently in our circle, and we want to get our journal, make the columns, right? We're going to be 3 columns this time: expanders, we want the peers, we want the limiters, and write down within each of those who are the people that are in that group. Who are the ones that are going to expand me, the ones that are going to push me, the ones that are going to challenge me, the ones that are going to pull me along? Who are the peers, those people that are in the trench with me that I can walk alongside? And then, of course, who are those people that are limiting my growth, limiting my advancement, limiting my mindset, those people who bring negativity? And as you're doing this, this is not to berate anybody, this is not to put down anybody, but you want to be honest so that you are well aware. So Limitless Living said that we're not going to imagine, we're not going to ignore, we're not sticking our heads in the sand, but we're looking at all the places in our lives, and we're being honest about them, and being able to recognize who is influencing, who is helping in my growth. Okay, so number one, we want to audit our current circle. So we're looking for growth-oriented people. So you want to find out where those folks are. You want to join groups, communities, masterminds with people who inspire you, people who fall into those categories that we're looking for. Okay, you want to engage in conversations with people. You want to look for people who are challenging you. One of the things I tell my medical students as they're walking through is, if you are in a room and you're the smartest person in the room, then you need to find a different room if you're going to grow. Now, if you might be perfectly satisfied to be where you are, but if we're talking about growing, talking about expanding, talking about going to a different level, then we've got to have people who not just agree with us, but people who are challenging us, and people who are helping us to expand, people who are helping us move to a different goal, move to a higher space, and surround ourselves with people who are already in that mindset, and people who are willing, people who are looking for a way to grow. And then, frankly, people who maybe where you are heading, they may have already been there, they may have already arrived. And so those are people that you also want to have in your group. And then here's a tough one. So we're talking about minimizing our exposure to negative influences. Now, this comes in a lot of different ways. Number one, for a lot of people, is we are so inundated with what's going on social media. We're so inundated with what's going on in the news. We're inundated with, because we like the hype, right? Now, we may say that it stresses us. We may say that it causes us discomfort, but we like the hype. And so one of the mechanisms that we can do, and one of the ways that we can be successful here, is that we are avoiding or minimizing the negative influence of things like social media. So there are certain people that you follow that are negative. Now, I'm all for the news, I'm all for information, I'm all for being informed, but there are certain places that you go that is completely negative. And their bent, their tone, their demeanor is negativity. And those are places you don't want to be in. When you go to social media, one of the things that we go to social media for is we want to see what other people are doing. And if you go to social media, and when you're looking through your social media, you're scrolling, you're whatever, you're watching those videos, you're feeling bad, negative about yourself, right? Because you're wondering, why can't I be like that? Now, it's one thing to be in the social media space and to be inspired by what you see. When you see something, you say, man, I want to do that. And I am moving in that direction. Now that feeds into our concept of a growth mindset, right? So when I go on social media, I look for things, I subscribe to things that are teaching me, things that are uplifting me, and I could say, hey, I can do this. In fact, when I find something that, that inspires me, something that I think is good for me, I will do a screen capture and I'll save that to go back and watch later, right? Because I can watch it in isolation, because often, you know, when sometimes you watch something and you scroll, then something else comes up and it takes away your idea. And there are times when I bet you have been trying to find something and you can't remember where you saw it. But when I find something, I do a screen capture and I go back and I watch that, I listen to it, I digest it, okay? So if you are on social media and it is causing distress, then you know you want to minimize that. You want to, so we're going through the list, right? So social media, big one. There are friends that you have that you spend a lot of time with, and they bring negativity. They bring a fixed mindset. And those are people that you may consider saying, man, I spend every day I see this person. I may need to change what our interaction looks like, okay? That's a hard one, and that's why I said this is a difficult one. So limit time that you're spending in conversations around negativity. If you get together and you find that you are always belittling people, talking about the negative, then you can influence that behavior. You can influence the conversation, but remember, you probably will pick up some of what's going on in that space. And so you're gonna have to evaluate and say, hey, how do I deal with this? Okay? That's a whole nother conversation, and it is a tough one because there are some people in our circles that have been there for a long time. They may be related to us. They may live with us. And so we've got to change that dynamic, okay? And then be the energy that you're looking for. Be the energy that you want to attract. So, and this goes back to partially to my conversation earlier when we were talking about mentors, right? So everybody wants a mentor. Everybody wants to get benefit from a mentor. But how about being the person that brings value to the mentor, right? That's a huge one. And this is the space also for that kind of idea. So and this goes back to the negative, the negative influences. So I am trying to attract positivity. I'm trying to attract a growth mindset. So in my spaces, I can bring the positive energy that I'm looking for. So I may not have found a group yet. I may not have those people in my circle yet, but in the current groups that I am in, I can make a change. I could decide that, hey, when I'm in this space, this is how I'm gonna behave. Now it's gonna be tough because people don't always want change. And so when you all of a sudden are changing your thoughts, changing your behavior, changing your conversation, that may not sit well with everybody. But if you want to be around disciplined, motivated people, then you be that person, right? And so you may actually rub off on some of the people that are in your group. Show up with a growth mindset. Don't come expecting to be taught a growth mindset. You do the work, and then when you show up, that work comes with you. I was listening to just today. Oh, wow, where is that? And I forgot who was talking, but the person that was talking said that it was about trees, and trees grow in two different directions. They grow up and they grow down. All right, think about it. A tree has the root that's growing down into the sand, into dirt, and it has the leaves, the branches, the trunk that's growing up to the light. And his comment was that we put the seed in the ground, and the root system begins growing before the very first sign that the tree, that plant is coming through the ground, coming through the earth. I want you to think about that. So that often when we look at social media and we look at people who are successful, we see the leaves and the branches and the trunk, we see the part that's growing up, but we don't know what's been going on under the ground. We don't know the long nights. We don't know the anguish. We don't know the troubles. We don't know the trials. We don't know the decisions that people have to make in the dark, growing down, establishing roots, establishing a foundation, establishing the things that we're talking about, those principles that set them up for success, so that when they break through the surface, when the trunk starts to grow and the branches begin growing and the leaves begin blossoming, that's not the first time that thing is being seen or that thing is being done. It's been working below, so that when you show up in your space, people see a change. And it's not overnight, because you are constantly doing, you're moving like we're doing right now. 100-day walk to consistency, right? So there are people who haven't seen you, and they're going to see you at the 100th day. They haven't seen you for weeks, for months. They're going to see you at the end. Once you get through 100 days, they may see you 3-4 months, but beyond that. And you would have been working on the concepts, working on these keystone principles and practices that we're discussing. And they get to see the tree as the tree is growing to the light. But they don't know what's been going on under the ground, okay? So when you show up and bring with you the positivity that you are looking for. So offer value in your relationships. When the conversation is negative, try to steer it to a positive idea. When you hear a fixed mindset conversation, try to steer that to a positive mindset, okay? And this is not to be obnoxious and to be judgmental, right? Because people are where they are, and they may not be ready to move. They may not be ready to be in the space that you're in. All right, so your job is not to judge or criticize. Your job is to work on yourself and allow the changes in you to begin influencing your environment, okay? One of the conversations that we will have is our personal influence in our community, okay? All right, so does that make sense, right? So surround yourself. How do you surround yourself? You want to audit who you are with right now. You want to look for people who are growth oriented. You want to minimize your exposure to negativity, and you want to be the energy that you're looking for, and bring that to the relationships and the spaces where you find yourself. And so let's go ahead and let's talk about our challenge. Right? So our challenge today is to upgrade our circle. Right? Upgrade our circle. So go ahead and grab your journal, because that's always one of the things that we want to do, because we want to document. And so grab your journal, and just like we did in our previous exercise, you're going to make 3 columns, and in this case, you're going to label them as expander, peer, and limiters, expander, peers, limiters. And you're going to draw 3 columns, and you're going to draw a line in the middle of the page. And above the line in each of the columns, you're going to write the names of people who currently fit into those categories. Now, you want to be honest. Once again, this is not with the idea of judging. This is with the idea of taking inventory of where we are. Okay, so you want to know where you are. You want to write those names down. And then below the line, you're going to write the names of people that you are looking or you think would be good people to fit into those categories, right? Get the idea? Okay, so for going back to the top, so for the expanders, do these people push you to grow? Are these people who are motivational? Do they have a growth mindset? Right, so that's the question that you're asking yourself. For anybody that's in the expander category above the line, that's what you want. Okay, so if those are not qualities, then they are not expanders. For people who are going to be your peers, are there people that are on the journey right now? Are there people who are moving in that direction? People who are kind of like in the foxhole with you? People that you can walk side by side with? Okay. Now, you may find that there are some people in this category that are ahead of you, and there may be people that are behind you. We're not looking for a mentor per se. We're looking for a peer. We're looking for somebody who is on the journey with me that I can walk alongside. Okay? And so that's the question. Is there somebody here that's walking with me? And then for the limiters, who are the people that are currently in your group that have a fixed mindset, people who are negative, people who seem to drain you, and you are writing those names down. Okay, once again, we're not writing them with the intention of judging, but just taking an inventory of where we are. Below the line, now we're looking at, okay, who are the people that are around me, people that I see that would be great expanders? These are my encouragers. Who are people, excuse me, that I can add into my group that are great expanders? Now, there may be people above the line that are not officially expanders or limiters or peers, and we've not talked to them, but we can maybe add them below the line and be intentional about connecting with them. Okay, so below the line are those people for those categories that we're looking to say, okay, who do I need to add? Now, the last column, the bottom of that table, we're not looking to add limiters. Okay, so it is the column that is going to be blank, or the section of the table is going to be blank, because we're not looking to add anybody in that category, right? We're not looking to add more people who are negative, who have fixed mindsets, who are not growth oriented. For the people that are above the line, our goal really is going to be to become an encourager to those people, become a cheerleader to those people, so that perhaps they can now begin their own journey in being successful, own journey in being consistent, own journey in being confident, own journey in moving in the direction, put themselves to achieve a better life. Okay, so get your journal. We're going to divide it into 3 categories. We're going to break the table into halves. Above the line are those people currently in those categories, and below the line are people that we've identified. Okay, and so that's what we're going to do. Within the line, below the table, each of those categories, right? So now we're talking about the expander and the peer. I want you to identify one person who you can connect with, either online or in person, who is on the path that you want to follow. Right? So this is for the peer. Who is a possible encourager? That's for the encourager, the expander, right? and you want to reach out to them. Now, we talked yesterday about possible ways to do that. Go back and watch that video. There are some practical ways, email, phone call, depending on who the person is, depending on what your current relationship with that person is, you may do something different, right? One way or another. But you're going to be intentional about reaching out to that person. And then you want to begin outlining what it is that this path is going to look like for you and the people that you're creating this circle with. Okay, what does that look like on a daily basis? What does that look like on a weekly basis? Are you going to have check-ins? Are you going to do this virtually or in person? What is that going to look like? You want to begin creating that. And there's so many things that we have on our list of conversations to have. But one of the things is, what does mentorship look like, right? What does mentorship look like? So, all right. So this is why it's important to have people in your community, in your circle that are growth minded, that are future oriented, that are positive. We've talked about the different types of people that are there, the expanders, the peers, the limiters. We talked about how to go about surrounding ourselves with them. And then our challenge is to create this table of 3 columns, split in half, expanders, limiters, expanders, peers, and limiters. And now we're going to begin finding a person. We're going to identify someone in the expander, that's the encourager, and in the peer group that we can reach out to, and we're going to actively do that. Remember, for the challenges, these are theory if we don't add what? Space. If we don't have movement, if we don't add action to it. It's just some concepts. But it takes life when you begin acting. So we're not waiting till next month, next year. We are actively doing that here in this space. Okay? And that's why it's important to have, people who are in that space with us. And then in our journal, we're going to reflect. We're going to reflect on what changes you need to make. Okay? What's one thing that you can do this week? All right, so we've already talked about what you're going to do in terms of creating the group. But what's one thing that you can do this week to shift your circle towards success? All right, so we're already building the group, right? We've identified the people, we're going to reach out. But what's one thing you can do currently to shift your current group to success? Right? I want you to think about that because it's so important. Remember this, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You rise to the level of your environment. And your environment includes the people that you're around. We are the sum, we are the average of the people that are in our circle. I know we say we're individuals and we make our own destiny, but we are influenced by the people that are around us. So be intentional, choose wisely, elevate your circle, build your circle up. Watch how your life changes when you do that. But today, take action. Make sure that you are working, make sure you are moving, audit your circle, look for people that you can add in the spaces that we've talked about, and be sure that you come back. I want to thank you for being here. Thank you for hanging out with me for another episode of my 100-day walk to consistency. We are coming back, and tomorrow is day number 55 as we add another piece to the puzzle to be successful. Thanks for being here. Have a great one. We'll see you